Hello, my friends.
Hello.
Hello and welcome. Today is a very fast, I would say, live streaming because we have a privilege and we are really proud. We have here in our premises the best online shop in the world, tabletennis11.com, the founder and CEO, Sergey Petrov. Welcome, Sergey.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello. Give us 1 minute, please, to check out the sound, and we'll be back, straight back, because it's the first time we do it, and it's a great honor for me personally to meet Sergey up close. And just give me 1 minute to prepare the sound, and we are going to do it our way, the Kush way, and the table tennis way, the best way. So give us 1 minute, please. One minute. You can see. So here we are back. Very stressful day today, but we're really proud. I hope you hear us. You hear us well. I hope. I don't know. Please send your comments if we have any problems because I'm really stressed today. But this is the reality of life, you know, and we have to overcome together the issues. We are really grateful. We have together with us Sergey Petrov, as I said earlier, and great news for me this morning, but I learned he missed his plane, luckily for us, luckily for all of us, and we have a great privilege and honor for him to be here. So I hope the sound is okay. Please, if you don't listen to us, can you speak?
Yes, I will try. Yes.
If you don't speak to us, if you don't listen to us well, please send us a message. We are doing our best. As I said before, tabletennis11.com is the best online shop in the world. I have a privilege as an athlete to be cooperating with them and to have something like promotional sponsorship. And I would like to give, I would like now Sergey to speak to us and briefly introduce table tennis in 11 and its significance in the table tennis world, which is basically very, very important. So, Sergey, please tell us everything regarding this issue.
Thomas, thank you very much for inviting me here. It was a long time I planned to come to Athens, and now it happened occasionally, but it was very good occasion. I would like to thank you for your high evaluation of our table tennis shop. We try to do our best. It's not easy, as our sale is going worldwide, and we are have different markets as the goal over the world.
You are in Paris as well now, I think.
We have our shop in Paris, but Paris shops sells only in France.
In France.
We have the French page, and the idea of the shop came to mind, or it was like it came to reality after World Championships in Paris 2013. We were having the stand, and then we understood it was time to do something in France. And France is not very simple market because of French language, and we have our team working there. Otherwise, we sell more to than 160 countries, and main markets are United States, Canada, also China, and Asian countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and so on.
So it is big market, and you have also the privilege of meeting a lot of people from the industry, a lot of table tennis superstars. During this, you travel all year round.
We travel mainly to major events like World Championships. Like we have been now in Korea, and we were last year in South Africa at the World Championship. This is usually the place where we can meet all major brands. But players, usually they are very busy during this time, and so they are not possible or very difficult to communicate to. But we watch how they play, and we try to get the latest information from the suppliers and from the players about what is happening in table tennis world.
And so tell us basically the idea, how Table Tennis 11 was founded, the idea, how it came back in the day, how you started.
So the idea is connected to table tennis, and I think it started when my father brought me to table tennis hall because he wanted me to be a table tennis player, and I was 6 years old, and since that time I'm always connected somehow to table tennis. So this is, I just would like to say, this is not only the idea, it's a lot of different factors which brought this shop together, and I was involved in purchasing the material for big table tennis shop in Russia, and then I wanted to move to Estonia, and the idea came that we can also make a table tennis shop in Estonia. In the beginning, it was a representation of Double Happiness in Europe.
Of DHS.
Of DHS, yeah. And after we managed to create the web page, it took 3 years before we could launch it. So we launched it 2011, and then so we just got the feeling there is an interest in the world, and we can deliver from Estonia fast and reliable.
Yes.
And we have very good relations to the suppliers, and then all things came together, and then it was step by step. So I, from my point of view, from my standing, it was not, I could say we wanted to be number one immediately. So it was a very slow growing process.
Yeah. The main thing I found when I started working back in the day as a customer is that you had excellent reliability and very fast delivery, and also the quality of the products is like they have been tested specifically in order to be introduced in your table tennis shop. I am a big fan of DHS, of course. I believe, especially as far as blades and rubbers have to do, they are in a league on their own in the expensive, of course, rubbers and blades they have. But also, what is the mission and the value that drives even today behind the company? I mean, what gives you motivation to move on? Others say than the happy customers that they appreciate the fact that after they finish their order, in maximum 1 to 2 days, it is delivered on their door. I mean, what drives you more for the future in order to proceed?
I still think this is a personal drive. So somewhere you can see we have slogan crazy about table tennis. So we still measure everything on us. So we like table tennis. We play a lot ourselves in our team, and we communicate with suppliers and players. I think the drivers live with table tennis, so we always have to stay in contact with the suppliers and with final consumers.
And you are even today one of the best players in your division in your country. I mean, I've seen you have beaten very strong table tennis players in your country and also outside your country. You are a considerable player even today, and this also is a great motivation for all of us, because we know we look up to you. We look up to what you do, not only as a businessman, but also as somebody who is enjoying life the good way, and he's playing table tennis. He tries to keep healthy. You know, all these things are very good also for the sport and for the way table tennis 11 promotes in general. I believe.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning, I was always involved in table tennis, and I was a player for Estonian national team for many years, and I was also a playing coach for Estonia. And then I worked 2 years as a coach in Sweden. So I have a lot of background in playing and also coaching. And I enjoy now being 54 that I still can play on a good level, especially for Estonia. And I think this is also motivates me to continue with table tennis, to test new equipment, to practice, to do exercise, to follow how my body works. So, and I think this, this is good motivation for myself, and I hope also for people around, especially in Estonia, because we are also taking care about Estonian players, because Estonia is small and we somehow can help more on our local market, because we have a lot of requests from all over the world about sponsorship for different players, if we can supply something or support. But we took a decision that we concentrate on our small market or small country as Estonia. And today's situation is very difficult, because when I was a player for Estonia, and first time I played in Tianjin World Championship 95, by that time the World Championship was first team event and then single event, so quite long, so it was for 2 weeks, and every country could come. So Estonia played, Latvia. So it is not like today you can hardly qualify for from small country, and it means it's very difficult for young players if they don't have enough money to travel all this VTT. These are crazy VTT, because you have to stay in VTT hotel and pay 300 euro per day. So it's not very before expensive. It was you can stay in any hotel and then play some competitions. Now it is very expensive and very difficult for smaller countries, even Greece. So everybody knows about this. But by that time, when I was playing and coaching, it was a different situation.
But you do, as in your country, you do have some great players and very strong forces. I mean, on very good day, they can beat a lot of players. I've seen your level is not is very high level in competition, definitely in the final stages. It's very hot competition and a lot of intense battles.
Yeah, we have good players in Estonia. So we have in our team playing Daniel Kasiba. He was former player for Hungarian team in best 100 in the world. Also for another team plays Lewandowski. He from Poland. He is also very strong, and a young player from Moldavia, Ursu. He is very strong. But in Estonia, we can have only one foreign player per team. So we have these good players who help us also to develop table tennis in our country.
Now let's move. What do you believe we are going to see as the latest innovations in the table tennis market, in the table tennis GR? What do you believe will be the call for the future as far as innovations are concerned in table tennis.
As we take rubbers, I believe that now more and more sticky rubbers would appear. So it is, as you know, best Chinese players are playing with very sticky rubbers since long time, and somehow many people say it's just for Chinese, we can't play. So, and this now it is being changed. So,
but sorry to interrupt you, but do you believe they can achieve the perfection DHS has achieved as far as rubber, the expensive, of course, line of the rubbers like Malong that I'm using personally? Do you think they can copy exactly the characteristics? Because I believe this is like a very difficult task for any company to try to compete with the Chinese technology in this department. Because when I started, before I started playing, for example, with DHS, and I used a lot of other brands, when I tested and tried, because now I have a great knowledge as far as the expensive Chinese DHS rubbers have to do, I noticed very huge differences as far as quality has to do. I would say like comparing a Formula One vehicle with a normal vehicle. And even though sometimes I see some people, they say, okay, I play with a sticky rubber in the crucial moment where you need the edge, I would say, there is a little bit problem catching with DHS. What's your opinion about the gap?
I think it is always good to create a new product. It's very difficult to create exactly the same rubbers like DHS Hurricane 3, DHS Hurricane 3 Neos. And now the brands like Tiber, Donic, Xiom, they go their own way. So they started with semi-sticky rubber. And many players say it is easier for them to get used to stickiness, because some players feel that Hurricane 3 rubbers are too sticky. Yeah, so and then they prefer to have a little bit sticky rubber. So I think
in between,
yeah.
But I believe, on the other hand, it's very good for the industry in general, for the table tennis industry, and for the people around the area of table tennis, and the shops definitely, but these sticky rubbers, they do require some special covers that in the past, for example, we didn't need in the normal rubbers. But nowadays, I noticed after, for example, playing a table tennis game or practicing and leaving my blade with expensive Chinese rubbers without cover, I noticed the next day a decrease in the performance.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did use the covers like the ones you have in your website, I noticed not an increase in the performance, but I noticed that I didn't lose anything. That is exactly in the same level, similar level, after I finished my practice. So I believe covers definitely are useful for the sticky Chinese rubbers. Of course, in the games, in the World Table Tennis games, we don't often see the players after playing with the Chinese rubbers to put a cover, but some players do it. So maybe they do it later, but from my personal, as far as I have checked, it's better if you do use cover. So maybe it's a call also for the industry in order to create specifically covers only for sticky, 100%, but maybe even have a small liquid, I would say, of regenerate, of giving something like renewing, refreshing, yeah, yes.
Thomas, I think you tested so many rubbers and so many rackets. I don't know how many. So huge quantity. So I trust your expertise here.
Also, I believe in the call for the future, as far as my sort of course experience comparing to yours has to do, is that maybe in the future we see the industry producing and creating a special cover in order to forget the glue. For example, in order to stick it automatically onto the blade, and then without worrying about the glue, being able to stick the rubber, so it will save definitely a lot of time, and it will give, I believe, more money in the industry back, because a lot of players, they don't change the rubbers, not only because of the money, but because of the time. Because sometimes they say, okay, I don't have time, I don't have half an hour to change my rubber with a new one. But if it was very easy to stick and unstick the whole rubber onto the blade, according to your characteristics, of course, as a player, then I believe it would be easier. We will see.
But at the same time, table tennis players, and there are a lot of discussions how many layers of glue you should put. Yeah.
Yes.
One or two before booster or after booster.
Yes.
So I think still players, they would like to have the same procedure as top players. So, and this is sometimes a secret. One player do it like this. About Chinese, we don't know. So I think more information about this also would help. That
and they want to search around it. They want to search.
Yeah. And now there are different glues. So some producers say that the glue creates this like booster effect, and then you just need to put the glue, but not so much booster. So all this, I think this is endless combinations. But
yes.
You know.
I started from myself searching around, and basically every single combination gives different results. And if you don't try it yourself sometimes, it's very difficult for somebody else to offer you the combination that gave him the results. Because, for example, my style is different, it's more bulky, I would say. You know, I don't play, I don't have the perfect technique like most of the players. I play powerfully. Power is my main key. And also I try to have an edge with having the best equipment. And working here, for example, in Greece, I'm probably the only player that plays with the expensive, I would say, Chinese tacky rubbers. And with other players I have paired and played, when I do a forehand topspin or a backhand topspin, it's very difficult for them to block it. So definitely there's a lot of potential in the Chinese sticky rubbers.
For sure.
Now, what do you believe, and what, in your opinion, are the most popular products, and what do you believe are their unique features? I mean, in your website, what is the most popular product? And
you see, still as we are selling professional products, and it is very strongly influenced by top players. So I still see that Malong 5 blades is the most popular one, but we don't have enough. DHS factory, they can't produce now.
Even the W968.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between Malong, the cheaper version, I would say.
The standard version.
Yes, and the standard version, and the W968. For me personally, if I didn't have the privilege to purchase from you W968, because of my hand and of my ability as a player and of the way I want to go in the future, I would face some problems with my style, with a cheaper version of my long blade.
Mm-hmm.
But it's up to personal, of course, preference.
Yeah, I think so. So because this national blade is playing different. It's a little bit bigger in size, a little bit more power and control. But anyway, the standard Malong 5 blade is very good for even for the top players. And now I think it will be trend with Felix Lebrun from Tibor player. He's playing penhold, and now we don't have enough this penhold blades. And I think more and more people will try to play penhold, and I think this is very good.
Yeah, it's very good for the sport.
Yeah, because sometimes ago people were saying that Suksin was the last one, and
now suddenly we have also in the Dank Huels. Yes, he's playing.
Very good for table tennis that we have this Chinese penhold players.
Also, do you have any tips, for example, that you could give us regarding from your experience regarding in order for somebody to improve his game, or for example, do you believe there are some mistakes everybody does that when he stopped doing these mistakes, from your experience, he could definitely improve his game? Do you have, because you have a lot of years of experience?
I have a lot of years of experience, and we have many customers. I think it is very good when you have a coach near you. It might be another stronger player, because it's very difficult in table tennis to move alone. So you don't see yourself from the side. And if you have advice, this is always a big plus. So table tennis requires a school. So it's very difficult. And some players, they live in remote regions or where you have not so many possibilities to play table tennis, but they still want. This is the biggest obstacle, to find a table tennis society to communicate with others. Because when I was a child, and many good players, they were just copying the better players. So they were, you can watch and then you can copy and do many things. But another thing as you do, so you have to practice hard, and
yes.
This is very complicated sport, and then
and you need a lot of good psychology as well. You need a lot of practice time yourself, and a lot of service training. Something that people neglect a lot, and most of people, they train 3 times per week minimum, 45 minutes to 1 hour only service training.
Yes.
Because we see even in the top level, in the crucial moments, some players, they are having problems with service.
Yeah,
they are losing service.
Yeah, but I think if you are talking about professional players or players who develop themselves, it is always good to serve 300 or at least 300 serves a day, or better 1,000, and then you get immediately improvement. So this is the easiest thing what you can check. So you can do it alone, and then you will be confident, because under the stress you serve even worse. So under the stress you need to be 100% sure that you can serve long or short, and it's very difficult without training.
And can I ask you something else, which is a very important question? What do you believe about the pre-game training? For example, if you have a tournament on Saturday,
yes,
Saturday morning, are you going to train, yes or not? If you have 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a tournament.
Yeah, so I would train. So it depends how much, and but I would train. So the biggest problem.
Do you need? What I mean is, do you need time in order to warm up? I mean, recently I talked to one of the best in Greece, and he told me back in the day he played with Malong.
Yes.
And he did 1 hour warm-up training before the match. And he was doing exercises and gymnastics 20 to 30 minutes before they play.
Yes.
So he went in the game so warm up that it was impossible to play at his level, not only as far as technique has to do, but because some people they are really fast to warm up.
Mm-hmm.
I need time to warm up.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I lose, for example, personally matches because I'm slow in order to warm up. But what caught in my attention was the fact that before the game, he didn't have his body rested.
Mm-hmm.
He trained.
Yes. Yeah,
but and this is, of course, in Europe. Basically, most of the people I have asked, they avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
They have different.
What I saw,
For example, what you do before the match, 1 hour robot training session.
Maybe not with robot. What I saw, it was 2 years ago in this big Budapest tournament. We were making courts, tables for double happiness, and we were looking how players were playing. And Tomakazu Harimoto, so he was playing all the time. So he was playing, and he was really training. So 1 hour, 2 hours. So for me, it's difficult to understand how it is possible to be that physically strong. So this is another thing. You need to be very physically strong, because if you're not, and you need to do fitness and running, I don't know. So different kind of things to prepare your body. And also the competitions are very long. So very often, one day good, second day good, but then the one gets tired. And if you play competition, because of this stress, the body gets tired very fast. Yeah. So this is.
And it's very also dangerous. Imagine if you go in a tournament and you get injured in the training without playing.
Yes, it's very possible. So you need, I think, in table tennis now, when I see Japanese players and Chinese players, they are very professional. Every Japanese player has an individual coach, so who follows him, and they have medical support and so on. It is extremely important, but it's also expensive. Yeah. So if you are alone, you need to take care and think about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Do you think now, as far as let's go back in the equipment side, do you think are there going to be any major changes as far as blades are concerned? I mean, do you think that there is a battle between companies in order which company will prevail, will win between the circular, I would say, blades or the hexagonal blade of Stiga, or the blades that you can adjust the weight? What do you believe is going to happen in the industry in the area of blades?
But I think if you take this cyber shape blade, so it's a very special blade, and I think this is very rare. So Truls Morigard for sure is unique and extraordinary player who can handle any blade. But many players, even in Estonia, who tried this blade, they couldn't manage it. So they said it is too fast, not enough control. So I still believe this regular shape blade would continue. Like many people still talk about Viscaria, Malong blades, and now Felix Lebrun blades. So I think this will be still the tendency that regular shape blade would be prevail.
And also, what are, for example, your predictions for the sport for the next decade? What do you believe will change, or maybe what do you believe can change as far as the sport in order to become better? For example, I've seen myself some areas. I've done some live streamings as well. Personally, I believe, I don't know why, in table tennis we try to shorten the games. In tennis, which is more popular than table tennis, although in my opinion, table tennis is the best sport in the world by
Yeah.
far,
Yeah.
by far, because it's much more technically advanced. It's difficult. Is much more difficult to stay 100% focused all the time, and also I believe there's no way 300 ranked table tennis player would beat a number 10 tennis player. But in table tennis, even ranked outside 300 and 400, even a 500 ranked player can beat even the top 10 in a good day. And this has happened recently. But we don't see this kind of surprises, of course, in tennis. And basically, for me, I believe this is very crucial for the sport. But our sport, table tennis, is much more better than tennis because you can have surprises. You might be number 10 in the world and you might play with 150 in the world. And if somebody has a good day, then definitely he can win. But the problem I see is that they try to shorten the games, okay? So we end up, some people go and pay to see their superstars, and they end up paying and watching their superstars for 15 minutes. And everybody is doing, is helping in the officials area, I would say, in order to become the game even faster.
Yeah.
For example, I don't believe it is correct for the ball to be given to the players. Sorry to do this talk now so much, but I believe for me, I want to see Malong walking and picking up the ball himself, like Zanzike did in the past, like Kreanga, like Tsiokas, like Valmer. All these players, they were picking up the ball, and this created another power, I would say. It powered the sport a lot as a lifestyle, because a lot of people want their favorite superstars to win, but most people want you to see how you walk down the stage, how you pick up the ball, the way you communicate in this area. What is your opinion about it?
I agree. If we start from the last point about the balls, I still think I know that all balls are different in table tennis. That before we were selecting one ball for the match, and now they take 25 balls, and then at 10-10 they throw you the ball, yeah, and then it may bounce differently. So I think this also creates unpredictability in table tennis. And the times I remember, so when I mentioned it was 95, the stadiums were full with table tennis. They were playing until 21, and it was close to tennis. And tennis did not change anything since that, or very little.
Yes.
And table tennis made a lot of changes. So larger ball, shorter sets, and then now they play on black tables, black floor, green lines. This Saudi smash last, you can't see anything. So this is just horrible, yeah. And then more and more innovations, and then the table tennis goes down and down. So this is
because it's really disappointing, the fact that in World Table Tennis events, when in the early rounds, the stadium should be packed, and you see only in the finals, which and sometimes even in the semi-finals and the finals, is not fully packed. And this means that the people, they don't want, everybody's interested about the result, but sometimes you have seen people going down in history for a great point they achieved against the top player, and sometimes what it stays in the mind is not only the result in a game, is how well you played.
Exactly. And this is what you touch is very important, because somehow it was a lot of talk that table tennis needs money, but it's like with other job, you first need to like your job, you like your sport, then the money may become. Because when I was playing in the World Championship, there were no money, but the World Championship title was so important. It was incredibly, so people were playing, practicing, and now it's always talk about money. If you pay someone in Saudi Arabia where there are money, but the hall is empty, and this destroys table tennis. So you can't talk about money all the time. So because this was, you can play to the best players a lot of money, but the rest of the players, they will not play. And this is the problem today, as I mentioned, that players from smaller countries, they can hardly qualify to any event, and then this reduces table tennis. Yeah?
Can I ask you something else? Do you believe, for example, if in the sport of table tennis we would change the following? What I would do, for example, I would say, okay, best of 5, in my opinion, is wrong, is not fair, and it's not fair, not even for Chinese, not even for anybody, because even if you have a top 10 Chinese player and he's really slow in warming up, for example, Fan Zedong is very slow in order to warm up, which means if he loses the first set and then the opponent has 2
lucky points.
He has 2 lucky points,
yeah.
And he loses the second.
Yeah.
And when he tries to come back and have time to warm up for the third, sometimes it's already too late, because the psychology of the other player is so strong that he thinks he can win, and he basically actually might win. So I would say, why not in the first round do it in the best of 7, and in the last 2 rounds, semifinals and finals, do it in the best of 9, and with the ability of having 2 timeouts in the best of 7, and in the best of 9, the ability of having 3 timeouts. And without, I see the referees, they are giving yellow cards to yellow cards to players for trying,
preparing. Yeah, this is unbelievable.
We are not machines.
No.
We are human beings.
And we are not in a hurry. As you mentioned, in tennis, the match lasts 3-4 hours, and everybody is watching or drinks coffee and then watching. So I totally agree with you, because also all good players, they're so stressed because they know they lose one match, best of 5, 3 sets, 10-15 minutes, and they go home. So and they both play very bad. Yeah, this is you're absolutely correct. So I think best of 5 for such events is just nonsense. It's not correct.
Yeah, and I believe maybe they could give a little bit more room to have to be able to get more timeouts.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea.
We will see. Also about the ball, I don't know why. For example, I saw Ma Long got a yellow card and other players in the past, and we have to acknowledge this to all the old school players, because Ma Long is the only player, and that's why he's the greatest of all times, is that the only players that he came from the past, he won in the past, and he is even here today with the new rules and the new trend, and he can beat anybody.
Yes, for sure.
And he proved it. But the problem is that it's very difficult for somebody like Ma Long that has been used in the past to picking up the ball, and while he picks up the ball, he thinks about his serve.
Yeah.
And also, what the audience wants is to see Ma Long picking up the ball, because this is very good for the sponsors, industry.
Yeah, but it is so because the referee sits like this and he tries. It looks so unsport.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is. In tennis, at least some kids, they bring the ball, and then the player chooses the ball, and then he serves. This is another story. I totally agree with you. So and I totally dislike it. So this is no doubt.
I believe in the future we will have a good we will talk about it. And now we received a very good comment from somebody, and he asks, thank you very much, my friend, for contacting us. Great honor from a friend in the web. He asks, in your opinion, what is the best coordination of blade in the defense and on the attack, and in all around blades, what would be the best way to play in order we have attack and defense? Yes.
It's
A very nice question.
You are-
Very nice. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much.
this is not about defensive, but I talk from my experience. So I think it is very important to have the blade during your young age, because I had quite slow all plus blade all around. And then when I moved to the time was Soviet National Youth Team, they tried to play make me play with very fast blade. So it is very difficult to switch.
Now you are playing with what blade you are playing now? With Tibhar? With what is your blade now you are using?
Recently, I was using Nitaku Bloodwood, and another blade I used Neotech Gamma All Plus. Quite inexpensive blade, but very high quality blade. So
Because what he asks is what you, in your opinion, what would be the ideal combination?
But I approach this. Many customers ask about the ideal blade, but it always depends on your experience. For example,
Yes.
if you play now with 968 blade, I should proceed from this. And then it is always good to know
Yes.
because some players, like what I know, we have now UC Hugh blade, Yusai Hugh, this defense player from Korea. For me, it's very fast blade, so I don't know how it is possible to make sure, but he's doing and playing with it. So this is very individually. Yeah? So this is, and for me, any blade which has a wider, bigger surface is very good for defense, because it's difficult to chop with a smaller
So
blade.
if you have bigger surface, it's better for defense.
Yes.
But for example, in W968, this is the blade I use, is used only, of course, it can give you the ability a little bit of defense, but not like your skills, like your blade, but it's mostly for attack.
For attack, but we have, for example, very nice blade.
Do you believe if a blade is made for attack and you change the rubber, it can be used for defense?
No. So
No.
it's
Only if it's all around blade.
Yeah, but I mean, so the modern defenders on the top level, they play with very fast blade, but they have very special ball feeling. So, and then they can play with offensive blade with long pips rubbers, and then also quite thick hurricane rubber. So they do it, but this is not. This is also what we should keep in mind, that top players, they use very fast blade, but they practice a lot and they have very good ball feeling. So, and then everyone should, For me, for example, if you take about defensive blade, so one of the most popular, this is Donic defense sensor blade. And so this is very easy to play with.
But the categories in your website, but it says, for example, a blade, and you have it in different categories.
Yes.
In reality, it is 100% accurate. For example, if it says blade for attack, offensive blade, then it is offensive.
Yes, but
so somebody who is trying to create a blade, he would go from the basis that the blade that is called offensive cannot be used for defense.
But as I mentioned today, still many.
For example, Matthias Falk.
Yes.
He's using the blade he's using.
Yes.
because a lot of times he's playing, of course, defense.
But he is not. For me, defense. This is like a chop from.
Like Gionis.
Yes.
But even Gionis, he has the characteristic nowadays. That's why Gionis, I wish him the best luck. He's now in the Olympic tournament, and we have all the kids, all our Greek friends. They are now in the tournament in Sarajevo. I think happens the the competition in order to for the Olympics. The qualification for Olympics, and we have now two girls, Terpu and Toliu, very good players, top players. We have Panagiotis Gionis and Yannis Gouropoulos. Panagiotis Gionis is going to be his sixth consecutive time of being in the Olympics, and Yannis Gouropoulos is the 4 times European champion, the only person in Europe to ever achieve 4 times, as you know, the ability to win 4 times under 21 champion. So I want to give them our greetings, our love, to do their best. So as far as Panagiotis Gionis, I talked before regarding the blades, what I have noticed is that when Panagiotis wants to become an attack machine, he can do it, and not only once. For example, a lot of defensive, totally defensive, old school defensive players, they would be defense, and in the crucial moment attack. While nowadays, as you have seen in the recent tournaments, Panagiotis Gionis joined, he had the ability, because his skills are top, to play on the attack a lot of times. For example, defense, and suddenly he was playing attack 5, 6 forehand top spins and gaining the point. Even in better quality than his opponent, and although his opponent was higher ranked. What I mean by this is that the defensive players, they do know a lot how to attack. I've seen your games.
But what I know about Gionis, he plays with offensive, very heavy blades. So with heavy blade and offensive, yes, for sure.
And also, what I have noticed is that, for example, I saw around 6 months, you played the match where you were 2 sets behind, and suddenly you made a great victory. You were playing a much more younger player.
But most of the players much more younger than me.
But what caught my attention is that in the beginning of the match, me as somebody who tries to be looking without knowing you as a person, I said no way he would win. And suddenly you were 2 sets behind, and suddenly you won. And I would like you to tell us what you did, because you are a defensive player, mostly.
I block a lot and I have short pips, but I would not call it defense. It's still, it's
all around.
Yeah.
But how you overcome this moment? I mean, you were 2-0 down in an official tournament. All the lights were on you. It was live streamed on your channel. Okay. How you overcome this stress? The thing that sometimes, for example, like me personally, I have stress when I do the live stream, because I respect a lot the people that are looking at us and are spending our time to see 2 people discussing about table tennis. And all the time, like today, because I haven't done a live stream for the past 5-6 months, and it was a great honor that I heard you on the phone, but you were in Athens. So I say, okay, for my friend, I will change my schedule and I had very stress.
Yeah.
And I hope we did our best here for our friends. But how you managed to overcome the psychology? How you managed from 2-0? You did it only with technique, or you said, "I have nothing to lose. I don't care."
No, I just it's as you mentioned now. You done your last live stream 5 months ago, and now you're a bit nervous. So if you do it every day, then you are less nervous. Yes. So this is also, you need practice. So if you play more competition, then and table tennis, the games are so short that usually it's not only depends on you, but also on the opponent, that he leading 2-0, he starts making mistakes. So he thinks he wins easily, and then he loses concentration. So I think this is the main point. You should follow your opponent and notice if he loses concentration, and then you can use this moment. So this is like, it's like in chess, in table tennis, you always play with somebody, and then you should take care about what your opponent is doing.
Because sometimes, imagine, even I feel bad when I play for my opponents, that sometimes I am leading 2-0 or 3-0, and I know that is the points, because the points I gained is because he's stressed. And sometimes, I just want to stop and say, okay, start again, because to be more fair, because sometimes you feel bad, not only for yourself, but for your opponent, when you see that he has the capabilities and he has the level to challenge and even beat you, but he's unlucky. I don't know, maybe you should consider the fact, I believe, because you are the leader, one of definitely the leaders in the table tennis industry, of contacting, because you have contact with all the major brands. I mean, what brands are in your website? All the table tennis brands, they are in your.
But we have major brands like Nitaku, Tiber, Donic, Double Happiness, Xiom, and then Yasaka. These are major brands. And Butterfly is major brand on the market, but they sell the product through their own shop. So we.
But maybe I believe you could contact with a nice way the companies in order to try and persuade the World Table Tennis team in order to do the games on more sets, to be able to play more time, because people, even the professionals, they are hungry to play more. They want to play more, and they are not allowed by the system.
But you see, this is what you.
It's like having a cage, and I want you to challenge me, and I want to play table tennis with you. It's not only about winning. It's about playing and interacting between two people, and giving to the final, to the customer, to the spectator, giving the spectacle, giving what he deserves to get. Somebody pays to see you and me, or some players play. So they have to get the correct outcome out of this. And it's maybe you can try and convince the major brands that this is a wrong way to go, because we are losing a lot of people from the table tennis arena, because nobody wants to go in a tournament and play 10 minutes and go back home.
But you see, table tennis as an organization, this is like politics, and politics is very often not correct, or not what we wish to see. I think you have same in Greece, a lot of discussion, because table tennis brands, they are quite conservative, and then some people in ITTF, and then now they transferred power to World Table Tennis, VTT. So they decide by themselves. So they don't. They ask only for big brands like maybe Double Fish, Double Happiness, who give them like big sponsors for big events. So this is the problem that the approach is problematic. So I unfortunately I don't see the possibility that the brands could change it. So unfortunately, I totally agree with you. So for me, because I'm also not that young, I see how table tennis has lost popularity. So it was before it was small ball until 21, and the halls were full. Yeah, so it was.
We are number 7 in the world as a sport. There is, of course, an increase in sales, I would say, because a lot of people were not interested so much about playing in world table tennis. For example, people can play in tournaments, in local tournaments, like the ones we play in elite table tennis, or in tournaments that are made with different rules, and or maybe some people are playing for their lifestyle, for their health, or as a sport. But I believe it's very difficult for somebody to say to him, okay, you will train 6 months and go in a tournament, and then in 10 minutes time, go back home. And it's very bad for the psychology of the person that is involved in the sport.
Yeah. Do you have betting tournaments in Greece?
No, we don't yet. We have, but not in table tennis, as far as I know.
Because in many countries now, there are tournaments where people play and the betting company can, you can put money on that or another player. And this somehow make many people play, so of different levels and so on. So we have such tournament in Estonia, and also I know in different countries.
Yes, but I think they have, even in these tournaments, they have to make sure, of course, that the players, they don't know which one will play. They check logically.
For sure.
Okay, I think this is. Do you also believe? Do you have any other any specific products that are sold only on tabletennis11.com in order for the people to be informed, for our subscribers to know?
No, we have some unique products.
Some exclusive products.
But for example, many people would like to buy darker blades. This is blades produced from hinoki wood, made in Japan. But the capacity to produce this blade is so limited. So we are mostly out of stock for these blades.
I have the Nitaku, for example. I have the privilege to have the Nitaku, the anniversary one.
Yes.
Which of course I'm not going to use. I just have it for my museum, I would say. And I have the privilege, and the quality is perfect. I mean, every single line that has been made from the from specific tree is called, I think, how is called the tree in Japan?
Hinoki. No. Yes. I think it was from hinoki. Yes.
For the 100th anniversary with the 3 balls.
Yeah.
And also I saw that Nitaku nowadays is not so much promoted in the World Table Tennis tournaments. I mean, we see DHS, we see Double Fish.
Yes.
But Nitaku seems to have stepped a little bit back.
Especially with the balls, because now they have different balls as sponsors or brands for the tournaments, I think.
And Nitaku is a great brand. It's a top quality.
Nitaku, the ball is produced in Japan, very good quality, very famous on many markets. But Double Fish and Double Happiness, I think they're so big brands for Chinese market. So they have this sponsor money to pay for the tournaments. I think they are just big and with the companies with more money. And
are they? And they don't seem. If you neglect your shop, that is the pinnacle of the sport as far as online shop has to do, they are not concerned at all, except of course your shop, Double Happiness, for Europe. They seem to be so busy in China with all the people there, but they say okay, and there are a lot of people in Europe that we love DHS and we would like definitely, but unfortunately it's difficult because even you sometimes you are left out of stock because there's a lot of people who are asking DHS in China and it's difficult. But definitely I believe maybe they are not interested because of they cannot produce so many blades, for example.
Yeah, they have a problem with wood
produce.
Yeah, but this is the
Do you think maybe this is a strategic point of the Chinese diplomacy, of the Chinese national team, not to give a lot of, I would say, knowledge of DHS in Europe in order to always have the gold, in order for them to always have the upper hand. What I mean, by not giving to Europe the opportunity to learn Double Happiness equipment properly, and to be able, for example, to support a country, for example, starting from your country. Maybe Double Happiness could support your country in the equipment. Here we have Stiga, for example, as an official sponsor in Greece, yes, which is of course a great brand as well. But starting from DHS, they say, okay, we will support your country, and maybe they don't do it because people will learn how to use their top equipment, okay, and then imagine what would happen if the knowledge gained from Europe will create them problem in the official Olympic Games or World Table Tennis Games. Do you believe maybe there is maybe DHS wants, but the government they say, okay, stop here, don't over promote DHS outside China. Do you believe? Because, for example, a lot of times, me personally, I want to purchase DHS, and there's not available, out of stock. And of course, the only official partner of DHS in Europe is you.
Also there are partners in Germany, but they have even less product than we. No, I don't believe this is the problem, because they just not able to supply, and some European players, they have contract with Double Happiness, and I think they don't get.
Do we have any European player, for example, that is in top 10 that plays with Double Happiness?
Not in top 10, but what I see from, I don't remember the names, Korean players, a lot of them even have a contract with other brands. They use still Double Happiness long fire blade and rubbers, Hurricane rubbers on the forehand. This I know. Yeah. So, but
okay, I think that's all for today. Thank you very much. I think we're really happy we had here Sergey Petrov,
thank you very much for inviting.
CEO of Table Tennis 11. Join all of you. Please visit tabletennis11.com. Please subscribe in our channel. They have also a very nice YouTube channel going on YouTube, Table Tennis 11. They have the benefit, and they have they create a lot of live tournaments for Estonian in general, and we are partners here. Deep appreciation, great honor.
Thank you,
for
Thomas.
all of us that you are here and you spent 1 hour and 10 minutes, 70 minutes. Sorry for our mistakes that I might did during the live stream. Really glad we talked today, and thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. Thank you.
And I hope you have a nice trip back home. And in the future, maybe our business priorities allow us to meet in your place as well.
Yes.
Because I would be very grateful to come there and do a tour
You're welcome.
in your excellent premises. And remember, whatever you want, tabletennis11.com, crazy about table tennis. They have all the best equipment available and delivered to your door as soon as possible. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.